If you're a high maintenance girly, or maybe it's a special occasion and you're celebrating, I literally know that getting your hair done these days can be super duper costly, especially compared to back in the 2000s. So today we're gonna discuss how long your silk press is actually supposed to last. And of course, 5 tips to make sure that it lasts longer and that you get your money's worth. Welcome and welcome back, everyone. It is your girl Kayla, your favorite beauty blogger, and we are here with private label extensions, okay? Did you get a silk press recently and you need some tips on how to make sure that it lasts longer? Well, stay tuned and let's get into it. So, what exactly is a silk press? A silk press is a thermal style for women with naturally textured hair. The magic of a silk press is that it transforms beautiful, naturally curly hair into the perfectly smooth, shiny, and bouncy strands for weeks on end. This style, it may sound familiar, but don't confuse a silk press with your grandmother's press and curl or a simple flat iron. Today's silk press is an entirely different process and outcome. The results of getting a silk press are something that anyone with texture will envy. However, silk presses are not an option for hair that is already chemically relaxed. Since relaxed hair is straight, this style is considered just a regular flat iron. The primary focus of a silk press is to infuse hydration back into the hair, therefore allowing the hair to flow freely. A silk press is a 2-part series that follows these steps. The first part focuses on moisturizing the hair, and the second part, it focuses on using heat to smooth and straighten naturally curly hair into bone straight hair, but only temporarily. So why should you get a silk press? A silk press is a thermal style option for naturally curly women who desire to enjoy their curl-free length without permanently changing the texture of their hair. To achieve a silk press, your stylist will use various steps and heat tools to smooth out your curls as well as temporarily straighten your hair. A silk press is one of the best ways to fully experience the length that you've grown out throughout your natural hair journey. Let's face it, sometimes those of us with curly hair, we like to feel our hair swinging and blowing in the wind too. A silk press gives you a soft, silky, relaxed feeling while allowing your curls to bounce back within a few weeks with just a simple wash. So, the question of the hour. How long will your silk press last? The duration of your silk press is relative to how well you maintain it. It sounds harsh, but the power is literally in your hands when it comes to a long-lasting silk press. 50% is the stylist technique, and the other 50% is all you. So since silk presses do not chemically alter your natural hair texture, your hair will revert simply because of carelessness. So don't let that be you, sis. I've put together 5 keys to making sure your silk press lasts. So learn from my mistakes and check them out. Our first key to making sure your silk press lasts. Book an appointment with a stylist. Yep, you heard that correctly. Trust me, I'm all here for a fun DIY style, but a professional should absolutely do the thermal styles requiring excellent quality and hair safety. Of course, it's possible to accomplish an impressive silk press at home, but let's be honest, girl, a professional stylist can slay your silk press to new heights. Well, why? First, your stylist is a professional and likely performs this service regularly. Your stylist already has a good idea as to what products to use and what techniques is most effective. Your stylist also has experience with your hair or hair types that are similar to yours, and they can determine how your hair will respond during styling. Second, your stylist has a better vantage point. Sure, you know your hair like the back of your hands, but you can't see what your stylist can see. Not to mention, because your hairstylist is a professional, they know when and how to adjust tension and heat depending on how your hair responds. All in all, allowing a professional stylist you trust to perform your silk press is the best route. Number 2, don't let your hair get wet. Leaving the salon with the silk press is not the time to dive into the pool. It doesn't matter how straight your stylist got your hair, it is definitely gonna revert once it comes into contact with water. So if you're wearing a silk press, stay away from moisture. Avoiding water does include the shower as well. And no, I'm not saying to skip your showers, but definitely make sure to use a shower cap and a bonnet to keep the moisture from your strands. Step number 3 is tempted to touch. If you're like me, I love to touch my hair, especially once your hair is finally straight. If you want your silk press to last though, keeping your hands out of your hair is best. Too much hair stroking will cause frizz and excess oil, leaving your hair less than silky. So try your best to keep your hands away from your hair as much as possible. Tip number 4 to a long-lasting silk press, guard it with your life, girl. Okay, that might be a little dramatic, but seriously, you paid good money and you gave up your time to get your hair bone straight. So don't let a good night's sleep ruin it. To maintain your perfect hairdo, you must wrap your hair at night in a satin or a silk scarf or a bonnet. Unfortunately, when I wear a silk press, it's nearly impossible for my hair to stay in a wrap. Here's my little tip for keeping your hair wrapped throughout the night. Tip number 1, you want to secure your wrap with the wave or wig cap. When I first started wrapping up my silk presses, I was literally perplexed about how to keep my hair in place. That's when a hairstylist suggested that I place a wave or a wig cap over my hair. It worked like a charm. Shout out to her. But unfortunately, the wave cap didn't stay in place, leading to my next tip. Tip number 2, you want to cover your cap with a satin scarf. Wearing 2 head wraps, it may seem like so many steps, but remember, your hair is ready and willing to revert at any given moment. Okay, so I decided to secure my wave cap with the satin scarf. That kept my wave cap in place literally the entire night. It will help if you experimented with different tools and techniques to perfect your nighttime wrap. It's important to remember to always wrap your hair in satin or silk every single night. Wrapping up your hair with satin or silk versus cotton, it helps to maintain the moisture your stylist works so hard to put into your hair and keep your hair from becoming frizzy and developing split ends. Tip number 5, no touch-ups. I've been guilty of this firsthand. Your stylist laid and slayed your hair. You're blowing and flowing. You wrap it up at night. And when you take it down the next day, a crease, yikes, okay? Listen, I know that little wrinkle is enough to make your heart stop, but please step away from the flat iron. It is a myth that you can't suffer from further heat damage since your hair is already straight. Your hair is moisture and protein. The heat diminishes moisture and protein. So you can still suffer from heat damage even with hair that is already straight. There is no need to apply more heat to your hair. However, if you notice a crease in your hair or if your hair is losing shine, use just a small amount of hair serum and wrap your hair up for a few hours. When you take it down, your hair will be shiny and crease-free without any heat. And of course, because I love you guys oh so much, here's a bonus tip. Get a trim. You know I had to throw a bonus tip in there, okay? The one thing that will set your silk press off is a crisp trim. Have your stylist trim any dead or stringy ends off your hair. The last thing you need is silky hair that won't move because the ends of your hair are all tangled up. Now, if you still prefer to do your silk press at home, I get it, but I still advise going to a professional for your trim or at least asking someone for help versus trying to trim your hair yourself, unless you are just that confident in your skills. So, how often should you get a silk press? Like the creamy crack or a chemical relaxer, getting a silk press can become very addicting, which I totally understand. I spend most of the year rocking my curls, and although I love my texture, I also love the results of a perfectly crafted silk press. There is nothing like it. But love just isn't enough, and too much of a good thing is not good at all. The answer to how often you should get a silk press It totally depends on a few factors surrounding your hair care and your overall hair health. Throughout my years, I've never met a stylist suggesting that a client go back-to-back thermal styles. But if you insist, I believe that professional heat styling is far safer than heat styling at home. If you're gonna get a silk press frequently, I suggest that you seek the advice of your stylist as well as commit to your hair care regimen that they recommend. Just know, health is wealth. The second thing to consider when you're deciding upon the frequency of your silk press is the general health of your hair. If you currently suffer from breakage, dry and brittle hair, or split ends, then frequent silk presses will likely not be a suggested service by your stylist. The truth is, every style is just not for everyone. Healthy hair is a paramount, and you need to avoid any hairstyle that compromises that. It's essential to keep up with regular conditioning treatments and trims to keep your hair super duper healthy. If you're concerned with your hair's health, you want to schedule a consultation to discuss its current state and just how you can improve it. Okay, Kayla, I get it. Call my stylist. But what if I'm strapped for cash? You want to take the leap then, girl. Still think you can master this style at home? I know you can. So while I advise getting a silk press done by a professional, I understand that sometimes a visit to the salon is just not within budget, or you just may not have the time. So instead, I suggest getting a free consultation with a hair care professional to understand your hair health and the necessary products and technique. And of course, y'all know your girl be looking out. So follow these steps below to achieve the perfect in-home silk press. Step number 1, we are going to cleanse. For silk press magic, you must use a clarifying and hydrating shampoo. First, the clarifying shampoo, it removes dirt and buildup from the scalp and the strands. Then you want to follow up with the hydrating shampoo. Begin hydrating and replenishing the nutrients back into your strands. It's essential to have clean hair when you're doing a silk press. Even a small amount of buildup can interfere with your outcome. Trust me, you will benefit from a clarifying shampoo if you tend to have an oily or flaky scalp. You want to use a clarifying shampoo that's free of any parabens and sulfates so that your hair doesn't get too dried out. If your scalp and hair tend to be drier, you want to use a moisturizing shampoo every time you cleanse your hair. I always alternate between a clarifying and a moisturizing shampoo just to keep my hair balanced. Then you want to make sure you hydrate. This step is typically not incorporated with the regular blowout. Hydrating your hair is a vital step between shampooing and conditioning. However, hydrating your hair can only be achieved with either a steamer or a heated towel. So here's how you can hydrate your hair at home just in 2 simple steps. First, you're gonna rinse the shampoo out of your hair. Next, you're gonna apply a generous amount, and when I say generous, I mean generous amount of your favorite deep conditioning treatment. Then you wanna sit under a steamer or wrap your hair in a warm, wet towel for at least 30 minutes. You can also put your hair in a clear shower cap and sit under a hooded dryer. The benefit of this step is that the steam opens up the hair cuticle and it actually allows the moisture to penetrate into the hair shaft. I recommend hydrating your hair at least twice a month, or ideally each time you shampoo your hair. Think of it this way. Natural hair loves moisture. Every day that we wear our hair out, it's losing the moisture that you worked so hard to put into it. So it's worth taking the time to put as much moisture back into your hair as possible. I promise you won't regret adding this step to your hair care regimen. Now for the next step, you want to condition. This step is essential in getting your silk press to last to its full potential. Conditioning puts the moisture back into your hair, but it goes just a step further by infusing the hair with rich nutrients and proteins to aid in repairing any existing damage while also protecting it from future damage. You want to make sure that you're not merely using a rinse out conditioner. Instead, it will help if you use a deep conditioner. Deep conditioners are meant to sit on your hair for at least 15 minutes to an hour. To get the most out of your conditioner, you'll need to make sure that you close your hair shaft after rinsing. To do so, you want to rinse your hair in the coldest temperature water that you can tolerate. And no, this is not a myth. Doing so will cause the cuticle on your hair shaft to lay back down, retaining moisture, thus making your silk press last for weeks. The next step is going to be drying. There are two ways to dry for your silk press. You can sit under a hooded dryer, you can dry in large hard rollers, or use a blow dryer. First, let's explore the difference between the two methods. So, utilizing the hooded dryer. This drying type is usually called a roller set, but it is also a way to achieve a silk press on natural hair. If you have difficulty getting your hair completely straight with blow drying, then you definitely need to try out this method. So here's what you'll need. Of course, a hooded dryer, either from the beauty supply store or Amazon, a spray bottle filled with water, a lightweight heat protectant, a lightweight hair serum. We are also going to need some hair clips, large rollers, a double prong clips, a wide tooth comb, saran wrap, and a soft bristle brush. So, step 1, under the hooded dryer. With soaking wet hair, you're gonna section your hair so that each section is the same width as the hard rollers. Step number 2, you wanna use your comb to remove any tangles from your hair. Be gentle, please. Step number 3, you're gonna smooth your ends onto the rollers and firmly roll your hair downward toward your scalp. Here's just a tip. It's essential to pull your hair taut. The tighter the roll, the smoother your hair will come out. Step number 4, you want to secure the roller in place by putting the double prong clips at the base, which is between the roller and your natural hair. Step number 5, you are going to continue until your entire head of hair is in rollers. Your hair must be wet for this process. The more soaking or saturated your hair is, the better it will smooth out onto the rollers. The key to getting super silky hair is to sit under the hooded dryer until your hair is completely dry. This process is actually slower and takes longer than blow drying, but your hair suffers from less heat damage in the process. Step number 6, once your hair has completely dried, you're gonna uninstall the rollers and use a wide tooth comb to comb out your curls. Step number 7, you're gonna use your wide tooth comb as well as a soft bristle brush to wrap your hair around your head. Step number 8, this is where the saran wrap comes in. You wanna wrap the saran wrap around your head and sit under the dryer for another 30 minutes. Step number 9, we're gonna remove the saran wrap by twisting it around your hair until it comes off. Then, you're gonna add a small amount of hair serum throughout your hair. Perfecting a roller set, it takes practice. Some women, they opt to use mousse between steps 1 and 2 to help the hair mold to the roller form. Using mousse in your roller wrap is solely based on your preference. I personally have fine textured 4A hair, so I prefer not to put products other than a heat protectant in my hair during a roller wrap. Now, here's how to do a silk press with the blow dryer. Step number 1. You want to follow the first 2 steps from the above section. Step number 2, you want to section your hair into 4 and you want to begin blow drying. Utilizing a high tension blow dry method such as a round brush or the beveling technique. Here's a tip. Don't allow your hair to air dry. For a silk press, it is best to blow dry soaking wet hair for moisture retention. The key to a flawless, long-lasting silk press is to get the hair as straight as possible during the drying process. This will literally minimize the heat required with the flat iron, which is gonna aid in preventing heat damage. Now, you are for sure ready for the press. So, step number 1 for our silk press, once the hair is all dried, you're gonna set your iron to the appropriate heat setting for your hair type. So usually I set my flat iron between 350 degrees to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Step number 2, you want to section your hair into sections that are no wider than the flat iron. Step number 3, you want to make one single pass from the root of your hair down to the tip. A roller set that is done correctly will not need more than a single pass with the flat iron. Another helpful tip, don't burn your hair. Your flat iron should always be moving. If you hear crackling, snapping, or smell hair burning, then yes, the temperature of your flat iron is way too hot. The steam that does not have a color or an odor is not your hair burning. In that case, that's just the heat protector steaming under the heat of your flat iron. If you begin to smell hair burning or see dark colored smoke coming from your flat iron, then that's probably your hair burning and your flat iron is way too hot. Pressed, not stressed, okay? Silk presses offer styles and versatility to women with naturally textured hair. When executed correctly, this style's smooth, buttery hair texture can become addicting. If you're attempting to do your silk press at home, following these steps carefully and taking your time is super duper essential. Trust me, no style is worth permanently damaging your hair. If you want your style to last, follow these 5 keys. Number 1, maintain a healthy hair care routine and incorporate steaming. 2, add water. 3, wrap your hair at night. Number 4, don't excessively touch your hair. And tip number 5, don't apply additional heat in the days and the weeks following. I thank you guys so very much for watching. Let us know in the comments below. Have you tried a silk press before? Also, feel free to leave in the comments below some tips on how you make your style last longer. Are you looking for some hair inspiration? Don't forget to follow us at Private Label Extensions on Instagram. Like and subscribe, and you guys already know. I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for joining us today. Peace out.